The NBA, this whole thing, if you've heard that LeBron James, I think at halftime or at the end of the game, he confronted Stephen A. Smith on the court. And there's video of that. Play that video while I talk about this just for a little bit. LeBron James confronting Stephen A. Smith courtside. And most people, lip readers, people that have seen this, I think they're trying to say LeBron said something about, hey, man, keep my son out of this. And so that's LeBron James getting very smoky with Stephen A. Smith courtside. Stephen A. Smith has gone on television and confirmed that LeBron confronted him. Let's go ahead and play Stephen A. Smith's explanation of LeBron James confronting him. I believe this is SOT number 4. Let's play that clip.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say. And apparently he feels like I was slighting his son.
So that's Stephen A. Smith with his tail between his legs. He's been confronted by LeBron James. And that's fascinating. And that conversation will be going on the Shade Room and other gossipy websites and message boards and all of that. They'll be having that conversation. Oh, man, LeBron James confronted Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith, backed down. He didn't want that smoke. There will be that conversation. We're going to have a much larger conversation. We're going to get at the root issues and what this really signifies and how it's connected to the exact same thing that we saw on Inside the NBA last night on TNT when Charles Barkley had a rant that went directly at Kendrick Perkins and criticized Stephen A. Smith, not by name. So let's play the Charles Barkley rant.
I saw a fool idiot on TV talking about the Lakers save the NBA.
Save the NBA?
Yeah. He's an idiot and a fool, but he know who he is. What's his name, Shaq?
Which one you talking about?
Kendrick Perkins.
Oh.
He said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about. Let me tell y'all something.
Tell me something.
And first of all, I want all the smoke. I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard or anything like that.
I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard.
Right.
I like that.
Hey, man,
I'm stealing that one.
The Lakers are doing great. Got a long way to go. But the reason the season's been going great for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Y'all just want to talk about the Warriors and the Lakers. They're both doing great. Don't get me wrong. If I turn out to be wrong, I got no problem with that. But y'all are idiots because y'all talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time. Y'all don't. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 12 straight games. The Oklahoma City got the MVP and they are on fire. Y'all are talking about who's in second place. That's the reason I get pissed. Between that and this lame-ass LeBron-Michael Jordan debate, which is lame. I've said for years, the only people talk about LeBron and Michael is people on television who got no talent to talk about anything else. I've been saying that for years. I ain't hanging on to the 90s. I've always said LeBron's great, Michael's great. But y'all talk about it all the time and then got LeBron out there posing, talking about he all mad about being the face of the league. But it makes me mad. The Oklahoma City and the Cleveland Cavaliers are the two best stories in the NBA this year.
Yeah, Shaq, tell us how you feel.
Man. All right. Is this one of your favorite rants of all time?
Yes, it is. Thank you. I needed it on my birthday.
So Barkley went at Kendrick Perkins directly. He didn't name Stephen A. Smith, but he went at Stephen A. Smith directly. He's blaming Stephen A. Smith for participating in the dumb Jordan versus LeBron conversation. Be patient with me. I'm going to tie this all together beautifully. This is all getting at a much larger conversation. I'm going to go a tiny bit out of order because I want to address the Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan conversation first. And I want to play you something that triggered Charles Barkley, in my opinion, that happened on ESPN yesterday. There's some content creator, TikTok star named Kai Cenat. I've heard the name. I assumed he was some rapper. I don't know who he is, but he's got a big following among Gen Z, I believe. And, whoever's on TikTok and whoever's playing video games, everybody knows who Kai Cenat is. Yesterday, Stephen A. Smith had Kai Cenat on First Take, and they debated LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, and Charles Barkley didn't like it. Let's play shot number 2.
You when it comes to LeBron James, you start hating. That's how I feel. Because I feel like you more of an older generation type of dude. You like Michael Jordan, cool. But listen, every time when there's a debate going on with you and with Michael Jordan and LeBron James, you always got something to say about LBJ. And I'm here to say, bro, LeBron's better than Jordan. I said it. I said it, bro. I said it, bro.
Man, something wrong with you. Something wrong with you right now.
Bro,
First of all,
don't
you even think about it. Don't you even think about coming on this show with that guy. Don't you do it.
Michael Jordan ain't never had 50,000 points. Okay, let's talk about that real quick, okay?
He ain't played 25 years.
James is 40 years old, and he's performing better than half of the people in the league right now. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Do you understand the greatness that's going on right now?
Hold on. This is the problem with the young whippersnappers like yourself. This is the problem, okay?
That triggered Charles Barkley. And I'm give me one more second to get all the way there and to make sure that we have all the context to understand what I'm about to say. And I want to read you Kendrick Perkins' response to Charles Barkley. This we'll all be up to speed, and now I can tell you what this is all about. So Kendrick Perkins took to Twitter, "Hey, NBA on TV, might want to tell that senior citizen Charles Barkley that I'll be around. When he see an idiot or a fool in person, make sure he keep that same energy. He can come playing with me if he want to, and I'ma address his ass like numbers on a house. Straight from the 409, homeboy, and we bar none and fade all. Hashtag Texas boy. Let me translate that into English for some of you. When fade all means that we'll fight anybody. We bar none means we're not afraid of anybody. We'll take on any and all comers. 409 is, the area code, phone area code that he lives in. Did I miss anything else that might need to be translated? What did he say? Go back. Let me go back to make sure I didn't miss anything. Might want to tell Charlie, keep that same energy. That's the little pet cliche phrase of, make sure you approach me the same way you're talking about me on TV. Obviously, you probably caught the I'm going to address you like numbers on a house. It's all this ghetto shtick that Kendrick Perkins is doing. But let me now transition. What is this all about? The NBA is in free fall collapse. And behind the scenes, there are people blaming Charles Barkley, and inside the NBA, you've seen Colin Cowherd and his sidekick, Jason McIntyre, making the argument that, hey, inside the NBA, they trash the NBA, they downgrade the game. It's Charles Barkley and Shaq's fault. That's why the NBA is in collapse. That's why it's losing its relevance. That's why its ratings are down. That's why everybody's criticizing it. And McIntyre and others seem to want everybody to just put blinders on and to sell a weakened, softened, lazy game as great. That's what you do, blah, blah, blah. And so there are people blaming Charles Barkley. And Charles Barkley said, it ain't my fault. The NBA is in free fall because of the idiots over at ESPN who don't know how to talk about basketball. And they have, what Charles Barkley, again, he can't say all this because he's slightly reluctant and he doesn't want to go too far. But he's like, I'm the gold standard in studio sports TV. And ESPN has bought a knockoff handbag called Kendrick Perkins to pretend to be me on these NBA studio shows. And I'm offended by it. Why do y'all got this bad knockoff version of me, Kendrick Perkins, who I'm Charles Barkley. I'm one of the 20 greatest NBA players of all time, certainly in the top 25. I'm a legend. I'm a former MVP. I played in the NBA when the games and the titles and everything really mattered. Again, I'm a legend in the game and as a broadcaster, and you have set up a role player with a heavy Texas drawl who talks in, ghetto shtick to play the role of Charles Barkley on Kendrick Perkins. It annoys me. You're doing me a disservice. And he doesn't know how to talk about the game. And Charles Barkley's like, he's a groupie for LeBron. The Lakers saved the NBA. And he goes, this is a dumb conversation. No, they haven't. What Oklahoma City's been doing, what Cleveland's been doing, more focus on that. But ESPN has a gimmick of only talking about LeBron James and the Lakers and maybe a little Steph Curry and the Warriors. And Charles Barkley's argument is that, hey, you're partnered with ESPN. They're the worldwide leader in sports. They don't know how to promote your game. They've turned it into a discussion among idiots who know nothing about the game. Charles Barkley is saying Kendrick Perkins never mattered in the NBA, and Stephen A. Smith doesn't know a damn thing about the NBA, and he's got this fraudulent resume as some sort of former college basketball player. You got a clown. And Charles Barkley sat and watched yesterday. Like, hey, this is the problem. You got some Kai Cenat, some midget TikToker, sitting on air talking about the NBA and arguing with Stephen A. Smith about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And Charles Barkley saying, you've pitted LeBron James versus Michael Jordan for content, and ESPN needs to cut it out. And so I want you to think about the history of Charles Barkley. Who has he hated in sports broadcasting forever? Skip Bayless. He used to go on air and say, I'd beat up Skip Bayless, blah, blah. He has blamed Skip Bayless for the very same thing that either earlier this week or late last week, I told you all that, hey, man, Skip Bayless's shtick that started when LeBron James was 21, and that started on ESPN, that damaged LeBron James and it damaged the NBA. Charles Barkley, again, he can't go into this full explanation, but this is what's at the root of his explanation, because there's a massive conversation going on from the top of the commissioner's office to NBA ownership to all the TV networks and executives. ESPN has paid $2.6 billion for the NBA, for the right to broadcast NBA games. ESPN has walked away from Major League Baseball. And so there's a lot of pressure on the NBA to justify all the money that's being paid for its TV rights. And there's a lot of finger pointing going on. And Charles Barkley saying, ESPN and their idiotic shtick of pitting two great players, this violent feud that's been going on, verbal feud that's been going on between LeBron James fans and Michael Jordan fans, it's unhealthy. It's not good for the game. It's made Skip Bayless rich, and now it's going to make Stephen A. Smith even richer. News reports just coming out yesterday, Stephen A. Smith re-upping with ESPN, 5 years, $100-some-odd million. Charles Barkley, they're rewarding more of this stupidity that has the NBA in a bad place. Why are Michael Jordan and LeBron James seen as mortal enemies? He's saying ESPN did this. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith did this. They sit on the air week after week after week, inviting idiots. This has been going on at ESPN, not just with First Take, but they're the leader of it. Hey, let's invite Kai Cenat on, a midget TikToker. Hey, let's invite idiot gangster rappers on, and we can always do. Idiot gangster rapper, who do you like, Jordan or LeBron? Barkley said ESPN has dumbed down the conversation about sports and made LeBron fans not like Michael fans, LeBron fans not like Michael Jordan, Jordan fans not like LeBron James. We've divided everything up. Basketball is this beautiful game, and we used to celebrate each other and celebrate the guys before us. But now ESPN, driven by Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and this whole embrace debate movement started by Jamie Horowitz that has never gone away, it's destroyed the NBA. So again, Barkley's pointing the finger at ESPN. LeBron James, he's pretending like he's upset about Bronny James and the way Stephen A. Smith talks about Bronny James. That's the justification, because he doesn't want to tell LeBron James, or he doesn't want to tell Stephen A. Smith and the rest of the media what he's really upset about. He's never liked the way he's been covered by ESPN. LeBron James, as I said, and some of you all don't understand me, and Steve Kim came on here and just defended or just attacked me for my argument that, like, hey man, I'm just telling you, LeBron James is sitting there saying, ESPN, Skip Bayless, and now Stephen A. Smith, they have been milking the LeBron James cow for 20 years straight. And Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James is saying, at my expense. They pitted me against Michael Jordan. And as I read to you all earlier this week or late last week when I started this discussion, that when I read to you all, here's Skip Bayless, when LeBron James is 21 years old and just lost a tough playoff series, I think to the Detroit Pistons. Here's Skip Bayless launching this attack on LeBron. Oh, he's no Michael Jordan. He's not clutch. He doesn't have the clutch gene. He's blah. He started that when LeBron was 21 years old, just in his third season. And LeBron James, as I said, like, hey, there's a lunatic on TV attacking me every day and comparing me in a negative light to Michael Jordan ever since I was 21. And LeBron James is like, here I am 20 years later, and Stephen A. Smith is still doing it. Hey, let's bring on Kai Cenat, and let's me and you pit LeBron James and Michael Jordan against each other. And probably someone at Nike has probably finally figured out, like, hey man, this hasn't helped LeBron James, and this is why he never was the shoe salesman that Michael Jordan was. He couldn't reach those heights because ESPN put LeBron in this negative war with Michael Jordan. It's a fight LeBron James can't win. And LeBron James has figured out, like, holy cow, Stephen A. Smith is a big part of my problem. And look at the profits. They're about to pay this idiot. And trust me, LeBron James knows that when it comes to talking about basketball, and pretty much when it comes to talking about sports, he knows Stephen A. Smith is an idiot. He knows Stephen A. Smith is a fraud. He learned, just like everybody else, from this show that Stephen A. Smith created a false background about himself at Winston-Salem State University. He knows that Stephen A. Smith is a fraud, and he's like, and this dude's about to make $20 million. He's going to become even a bigger fraud and even more of an arrogant a-hole, and even he's going to continue to dive into and host these ridiculous LeBron James versus Michael Jordan discussions. And so LeBron, using his son as a shield and as a way to deflect and mislead people about what he's really upset about, he steps to Stephen A. Smith and just quickly, hey man, keep my son up out of this. And his real message is that he can't say, but he's letting clues off. And maybe, again, because I used to know Rich Paul and Maverick Carter, and maybe they're smart enough to know, Jason Whitlock will connect these dots. Because people think I hate LeBron James. I hate a lot of the things LeBron James does. I don't hate LeBron James. And I have come to realize and had to admit that, like, I think LeBron James would have been a different person had this Skip Bayless shtick never taken off and been allowed to exist for 20 straight years. We made LeBron an angry person. LeBron James is a happy-go-lucky, I want to pass the ball to my teammates and I want to do little dance steps on the court and I want to celebrate and go kick it with my teammates. That's who LeBron James is. We made him an angry social justice warrior. We made him someone that sees the world through this lens of, man, these white folks is out here exploiting me. Look at Skip Bayless. This system's out here exploiting me. Look at Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and ESPN. We made LeBron James polarizing. Yes. Did he participate in it? Yes. Did LeBron James, he may have gone a different direction. This isn't a criticism. It's just a statement of fact. LeBron James didn't have a father to help walk him through this. He's had to rely on others. And others tend to just see the bottom line and, hey, we're all making money and we'll fix that problem. We'll fix this later on. Whereas a father has a wisdom. Even if he doesn't have expertise, he has a wisdom that he will impart onto his son, and he'll be looking out well past what instant, immediate gratification. This is a properly functioning father. Would be looking past instant gratification and would have sounded the alarm years ago, like, hey man, y'all can't do this. This is going to destroy me. I'm taking on the legend of Michael Jordan. I can't win that fight. It's going to undermine me as a salesman for Nike. It's going to make me polarizing to a certain segment of the fan base. And if the NBA had a good commissioner, the commissioner would have seen this years ago and would have said, like, hey, ESPN, cut it out. LeBron James is the Pied Piper of this league. You're making him polarizing. You're making him angry. Our other players, you're making him selfish. Our other players are going to follow his lead. And the next thing you know, we'll be sitting around in 2025 and going, hey, man, everybody hates our league. Everybody is denigrating the style of play. The WNBA actually has more momentum than us. And LeBron's legacy is going to be that he was the player on top that helped lead to the destruction of the NBA. So everybody's just pointing fingers. Everybody's like, it ain't my fault. Yes, the NBA is in free fall. Yes, fans are dissatisfied with our game. Yes, our game is trash. Yes, the brand of our players has been destroyed. Who did it? Point a finger here, point a finger there, point finger. No one, people, it's LeBron's fault. No, it's Charles Barkley and TNT's fault. No, it's ESPN's fault. It's all of y'all. It is all of y'all. And obviously, in this scenario, I have a bias towards Charles Barkley. I still consider Charles Barkley a friend, even though we haven't talked because, you know, it really hasn't been safe for someone like Charles that high up in legacy media to talk with someone like me. But I still consider Charles a friend, and I still consider Charles a good person. Because Charles, despite having a bit of a temper, Charles is mostly a good person and a fun-loving person. If you've ever been around Charles, Charles wants everybody to be happy and to smile, and Charles is one of the most generous athletes in the history of sports. He'll give away the shirt off his back. Charles is like a really good dude. And Charles, though, in this defensive posture he's been put in as all the finger pointing goes on, he's a tiny bit out of character. And I tried to share that last night in terms of like, hey, Chuck, you've put Kendrick Perkins in a real bad spot. Called him an idiot. You called him, a fool. And you said something about, I don't whistle when I go by the graveyard. I want all the smoke. And look, Kendrick is a 6'10" basketball player. He's not some sort of intellectual. And so Kendrick responded in a very ghetto and inappropriate way, in my opinion, because that's what he feels like he's been forced to do, and that's the posture. I gotta appear tough. And I actually tweeted out or posted on X, and to call it up, I want to call up my tweet where I was like, I'm giving Kendrick a suggestion. And here's what Kendrick Perkins really wanted, because we put it up in my prompter. Kendrick Perkins and my response to him on Twitter. Anybody listening to me? I want, yes, we do. It says here on full screen. No, we don't have it. All right. I can do it myself here. My bad. I can do it. I gave a suggestion. Yeah, that here's what Perkins should have said, because this is what he really feels. Chuck, I'm not above criticism, but I have a wife and kids, and there's no reason to call me a fool and an idiot. You could respectfully disagree with me without getting this personal. My kids love hoops and watch your show. Your personal attack makes me want to defend myself. As the elder, you should set a better example. And that is true. As elders, we should set a better example. Charles has unintentionally, or perhaps intentionally, challenged Kendrick's manhood. And Kendrick Perkins said, oh, my kids is going to ask me about this. And so he runs out, and I'm going to show you how tough I am. You know, I'm a 409 homeboy, and we bar none, and we fade all, basically saying, I'm from this part of Texas, and we'll beat up anybody, and we ain't scared of nobody. It's all ghetto talk, and it somewhat proves Charles's point. It's like, look at ESPN and these guys that they employ. This is their response to everything. I'll fight. There's no maturity. There's no standard over at ESPN. No one's held accountable. And people will say that, hey, TNT's got the same standard for Charles Barkley. And most of us that are wise and smart will say, nah, Charles doesn't do that. He's got a shtick that's been going on for 30 years, 25 years on TV. But Kendrick Perkins is doing a bad impersonation of Charles Barkley. But Charles is wrong here. There was a way to communicate that, Perk, man, you don't know what you're talking about. All y'all do is sit up and talk about the Lakers and the Warriors, and you're up here saying the Lakers, after playing a couple of good weeks, they saved the NBA. That's silly and stupid. Could have said all that. Said it in an aggressive way that provoked someone who's not a intellectual genius to respond in a ghetto fashion. But all of this, all of these guys are feeling immense pressure for the shape that the NBA is in. It's bad basketball. The players load manage and don't want to play. Fans are dissatisfied with all the jacked up three-pointers, all the traveling that's gotten away with, all the half-hearted play from all-star game to regular season games. Everybody's finger pointing. That's what this is all about. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.